Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the October 12th Center for Financial Social Work webinar. Today, we have a really intriguing topic, technology for social work. Question, is digital banking guilty of financial discrimination? Here to talk to us about it is Janine Casper. Janine is engaging and so knowledgeable. I'm sure you will be equally intrigued by her presentation. I am drawn to the fact that she refers to herself as a human-centered technologist. Back in 1982, not a lot of you were probably even born then, and we certainly didn't have cell phones, and I don't think we even had personal computers. There was a book written by a gentleman named John Naisbitt. And the book is called Megatrends. It's still available on Amazon. But he looked at our society in 1982 and forecasted some trends for the coming years. For example, he talks about in the book going from an industrial society to an information society. That certainly took place. We can all agree. And he also warned us that as we became richer in our technology and more knowledgeable in our technology, the high tech must also be accompanied by high touch. I'm not so sure that we've exactly succeeded with that. Maybe Janine can help us understand. We don't always speak to someone when we are engaging with technology. I don't know that we've kept up that end of the bargain. But anyway, human-centered technologists to talk about all things digital. And we really hope that this webinar helps you personally and professionally, not only to improve your own financial future, and to add new tools to your client toolbox. Some housekeeping before we get into the meat of the program. Please remember to check the chat box for messages. The most frequently asked question of 2023. No, the slides are not shared. They're proprietary to Janine. So the recording will be on our website, Facebook page, and YouTube channel in a day or two. Please feel free to type your questions into the question box. We'll answer as many as time permits. And there are no CEs or certificates of attendance for this webinar. Again, there's the link for any technical issues. This picture is one that Rita often uses. And actually, I should pause here for a moment. Rita wishes she could be here today, and you're probably wondering why it's me and not Rita. Unfortunately, Rita is ill. The good news is it's not COVID and it's not the flu, but she's not up to par and cannot do the webinar today. So I will try to fill her big shoes. This is a picture that Rita often uses, and one that I think is very Zen-like and is very calming. So take a cue from the picture, sit back, take a deep breath. Thank you for investing your time with us today. And I will share with you our financial social work affirmation. Just for today, I will love myself enough to face my fears, practice self-acceptance, and embrace hope. Silence my inner critic, speak my truth, and make peace with myself and my past. Give myself permission to eliminate toxic people, beliefs, and behaviors from my life. Prepare for a better tomorrow by healing my relationship with my money and myself today. Financial social work. No one chooses to have money problems, but most people do. Financial social work, we believe, is the intersection of social work, politics, the economy, gender, economic and social justice, and really all inequity. And you can read below the issues that surface in financial social work. A little bit more about financial social work, it is behavioral. We certainly believe until and unless behavior changes, nothing changes. In addition, it's psychosocial. The certification, some of you may be familiar with it, some of you may have taken it, some of you may not have, and some of you may be in the midst of taking it. It explores the financial thoughts, feelings, attitudes, beliefs, and experiences that drive financial behavior. And our financial behavior is defined as how we earn, spend, save, share, and borrow money. Our clients talk to us about how they feel about financial social work. They say it's interactive, reflective, supportive, educational, engaging, motivational, strength-based, holistic, multidisciplinary, hopeful, and helpful. Success is had by both individuals and groups. Most of all, we are heart-centered. We approach money and life from a perspective of healing, acceptance, courage, wellness, and honesty. The core of financial social work is your relationship with money and your relationship with yourself, and healing both of them. Once you recognize and take ownership of your financial health, you'll find that your relationship with yourself also flourishes. We have graduates, we are proud to say, from around the world, everywhere from China and Canada, Japan, Australia, Finland, Israel, and England. So, enough about us for the moment. What I'd like to do now is introduce Janine and have her talk to you about digital technology. So Janine, I'm going to make you presenter.
All right, Linda.
Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce Janine Casper. Take it away, Janine.
Thank you, Linda. And thank you to everyone that is joining us today. When we start looking at technology, and again, Linda, when she had referenced in my bio, me being a heart-centered technologist, I will tell you that that has been an evolution for me. I have spent the majority of my career working in the financial services industry, from the technology side, back office operations, all the way to designing and building an actual branch or a corporate center, and what we referred to as a digital experience inside each one of those kinds of facilities. And so with my background, not only through the lens that I just described, but also being an individual that worked with call centers to develop at the time what was referenced as the new experience, and being able to bring that not only through the call center and the agents that were interacting with customers and members, but also then as technology progressed and we brought home banking, which is now called digital banking, to everyone as a mainstream tool that we can't live without in some cases through our phones. But that experience is something that has stayed in my heart, and it has been at the forefront of how I've worked with organizations and partnerships, and designing partnerships and connecting technology together to bring experiences to not only individuals, but businesses and corporations. And so from my background and being a part of that training aspect of financial institutions, there have been several things that have come to surface for me personally. But then as I got introduced to Connie Davis, who is the founder of Kairos Digital Commerce Consulting, she and I started to collaborate, and we noticed that there's a big gap. And so what I plan to do today is to share with you what we see in the industry through the lens of a technology organization in the banking space, and also recognizing where I believe some of you may see things on a daily basis, and you see the fact that the financial services industry just is missing the boat, and not only being able to service you as an individual, but the individuals that you work with as well. And one of the reasons why we believe that there are synergistic energies between Kairos Digital Commerce Consulting and the Center for Financial Social Work is that we sincerely believe in the fact that if individuals are not able to heal their money wounds, then it doesn't matter if somebody is going to tell you that here's how to budget, follow steps, 1 through 5. Here's what you should do with your money. Here's, the prescriptive actions that you need to take. And if you haven't healed those money wounds, there isn't anyone in the banking industry that's going to be able to fix a situation. And what adds, I'm going to say, insult to injury, is the fact that now those prescriptive directions are being given through technology where there's no human involved at all. And that's where we believe that there is some discrimination that takes place. So as we get started today, it is the time for us to take action. And for those of you that are on the phone that are not in the financial services industry, I think that it will be a pleasant sound to hear that we have individuals at the table in the financial services industry that are not just saying that they want to help make the change, but they actually are creating foundations and taking action with the way that they are doing business, and being able to, in some cases, even make exceptions within the regulatory and compliance guidelines that they're given to be able to better understand the members that they're working with or the customers. And so we believe that the time is now for that transformation to take advantage of it. So in the financial services system today, obviously we have an empathy gap, as I'd mentioned before. And when we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, without addressing technology, that is where not only the financial service industry is suffering, but also other organizations with their employees. We also know that from the technology and what is in the market today is that the systems just are designed to move information. They're a record keeping system, and on the banking side, they really are what we refer to as general ledgers. They are and have been designed to move money from point A to B to C. And as we mentioned, and what I mentioned just a few minutes ago, is that the technology and the machines don't see humans as we do. And so we are left with machines making decisions because of the way that they have been programmed to actually not see any of the emotional or the financial wounds that a human does. And for conveniences, we all know that we like to do things in a digital environment, whether it be paying, shopping on Amazon or engaging with individuals on Facebook or Twitter or WhatsApp. But at the same time, we don't have machines that are helping us manage our lives and run our financials. So one of the things that we are looking at in being able to ensure that technology does reach the DEI, I'm going to say lens, or looking through that lens, we do need to look at our financial infrastructure, and we do need to change the way that technology is programmed, which means the individuals that are doing the programming need to be able to see trauma and see diversity, equity, and inclusion through a different way, so that they can be better equipped to understand what an experience should look like. So when we are looking at the digital technology, the other big concern in the market is balancing the risk and compliance issues that we have against what we know is being done in the market currently with risk and discrimination. And so the financial industry really does need to balance the economic side of business itself and what they have continued to see as financial abuse, but they don't understand why. And part of what you all have heard, and in the chat, if you're comfortable, if you can just say yes, if you have heard some of these words shared with you or the clients that you work with, because what we are seeing is that these are the words that we typically hear that increase or re-traumatize the financial wounds that individuals have. So if I could just have you guys type into the chat, yes. If anyone feels comfortable that they've seen or they've heard these words shared with them or their clients.
We have we have many yeses.
Okay.
We have many yeses and a couple yeses with an exclamation point.
Awesome. You guys, thank you so much for sharing. This is what we hear. And the bankers, and I'll be very transparent with you, until I started doing this work with Connie, I even was unaware of how these phrases continue to cause more injury and harm. And we obviously are seeing these terms throughout the industry. And now that I'm looking at training and curriculum even closer, I cringe when I see them. So our goal is to stop using this kind of terminology and be able to start looking at what's really happening. And that is through what you see likely on a daily basis, and it's the invisible injuries. So when someone walks up to a teller window or a drive-through, or they're on the phone with someone who is representing a financial institution, the person on the other end doesn't even think about the fact that who they're talking with may have some other type of injury that they're not aware of. And so because of scripts that are written based upon different, what we call personas, we miss the opportunity to truly serve, which is at the heart of what the institutions want to be able to do. And I'm going to say the majority of them, they don't want you to be a number, they do want you to be a person. And when we look at the adverse childhood experiences, one of the numbers that was shocking to me is that 61% of our adult population has had at least one of the adverse childhood experiences, and that through this invisible injury or the invisible injuries that we have, it is actually costing the United States over $748 billion every single year. So when we start talking to bankers and we start talking to companies and corporations, that kind of number resonates, and that kind of number catches people's attention. And so being able to build a bridge between understanding that the banking systems today care less about stories and more about transactions, we have a chance now to be able to start building a bridge. And building a bridge, meaning that we have the chance to truly start bringing numbers forward to the financial services industry and to companies, so that we not only catch their attention, but we drive the change forward. And so these are probably not numbers that are shocking to most of you on the phone, but I'll just go through a couple of these. 42% of Americans were denied financial products due to credit scores. Again, a credit score today doesn't see trauma. It doesn't see that financial abuse was in addition to the physical and the emotional abuse that someone has endured. There were 33% of Americans who were denied credit in the past year, and African American borrowers were denied mortgages almost at a rate of twice of that of overall applicants. and approximately 16% of Americans have very poor credit or a FICO score, which represents the credit analysis that's done in the industry today with algorithms, is between 300 and 579. To be a quote unquote good credit risk, most organizations have their thresholds stop in that good category in the 600 range, and you've got to be 700 or 800 to be excellent. So those labels of subprime, unqualified, low income truly are discriminatory because of the way that we've created the labels in the banking industry, but also in the way that we have set up our thresholds. So as we continue forward in learning more about the population and the discrimination that has been, in the industry and what we want to be able to tackle, we can actually go back in history to see that, I know it's crazy, but 1848 is when women, or when Married Women's Property Act was put in place, and why the genders are just so disparate between a male and a female is because of the way that our history has evolved. And coming into the modern age, if we think about what's happening since 1970 going forward, and if you'll remember a few slides ago, I mentioned that the technology is what's driving those decisions. What's even crazier is to think that we are still doing banking based upon technology that was written in the 1970s. And that core banking technology, again, was designed to move money from point A to B to C. And this will probably even make you more afraid in the fact that that banking system was actually designed by a couple of shoe salesmen who were just trying to be more efficient at selling their shoes and moving money. When the computerized age came in banking in the 80s, and to date myself, I was one of those with a green screen in 1980 in high school and thought, man, this is great technology. Well, I was the chairman of the board of a credit union here in the Denver metro area in 2009-10 timeframe, and the team was still using the same green screens that I was using back in 1980. So you can think about the progression and the slow migration of technology in the banking industry, even to the age, back of 1994 when credit unions came on mainstream. Again, I mentioned 2008, 2009, when I was working with the credit union as the chairman of the board, and they were still using those green screens. So the financial investment that institutions have made in technology and what they call the back office has been very slow to change. So what can we do to solve the blind spot? There is hope. So I hope you haven't gotten too discouraged. But with the hope of being able to create financial empowerment for all of us as individuals and the folks that we work with, what Kairos Digital Commerce Consulting has done is we believe that there is a way to change the regulations and change the digital technology, understanding the timelines and the limitations that our institutions have. And when we talk about institutions, I want to be very specific in saying that while the large corporate institutions that are international or maybe national across the country, they have a role to play. Our community financial institutions, our community bankers and credit union executives who you see at church, who you see, on the sidelines at kids' games, or you interact with in a social setting that may be, in yoga class or whatever it might be, those are the individuals that we believe are truly empowered to make the change from a grassroots perspective, walking alongside with you in your journey as an individual or as someone who is working with those that have been through some type of trauma. And so in today's technology space, we have a sea of technology. It is vast, it's the ocean. Unfortunately, we don't have the environment right now with an ecosystem of payments and of cards that are truly trauma informed. And so what we want to be able to do is look at the principles from the United Nations in the digital payment space. So this is a global initiative that both institutions and companies are quote unquote signing up for. So we have a national or an international solution, at least with eyes on it. I'm not saying that action's being taken, but we believe that this is an initial step towards bridging that gap. And we believe that through research and having trauma-informed experts advocating not only at the UN level, but here in the United States and coming down to each individual state and city that we live in, we can make that change. And so we believe as Kairos that we have a way to be able to make that change and create communities that are trauma informed. And so we believe that we can do that by bridging the gap between the trauma informed technologists and consultants and technology companies with the social services world to create that community, to create that trauma informed community. And so we believe that through the restorative financial products, we can actually embrace the childhood experiences that have been adverse, the adult experiences that have been adverse, and change the dynamics together. And one way that we can do that in support of all of the work that Rita has done through what we call her life's work is being able to understand temperament. And temperament is something that is innate in all of us. It begins to be created the second that we are conceived and when we take our first breath. It is not impacted by our experiences. It is not impacted by our economic situation or where we are in the economic world. It is not impacted by our personalities, because our personalities change. And so if we think about temperament in three sections, social, leadership, and relationship, we have a way to start understanding who we are, who our authentic selves are. We are able to understand not only what we demonstrate, but what we want demonstrated back to us. And we call that the desire. And when we're healing money wounds and we are going through our journeys of restoration, or we are helping individuals in walking alongside them in their restoration journey, we believe that we have a way to do that through a temperament analysis and profile. And so if we think about focusing in our business world on a social temperament and leadership for what it is that we're trying to do with community and financial institutions and leaders, and giving them the confidence to make that change and make that leap that is needed, make the investments. We really want to focus on the social and leadership side of their temperament so that we know how to present solutions to them. We know how to present the research to them, so then they can confidently make those decisions. And then looking at the aspect of who we are on a daily basis with our family and our friends, we know that that relationship side of our temperament is what really comes forward. And so if we are looking at being able to work with individuals and understand the experiences that they are looking for, we are looking for as just simple human beings, then we can focus on the leadership and the relationship side. And so where you have the 2 and the 4 as a crossover, those are the 2 areas that, whether it's us working in the field to be able to make these changes in the financial services world and crossing the bridge over to social services or vice versa, we have a map to be able to empower us as individuals and empower each other in working together as teams. So in the chat, if I could just ask, from a psychology or psychologist perspective, temperament is discussed, but can you say yes or no if you've heard temperament referenced in the way that I did in describing it here? So I'll give you guys just a few minutes to respond. So Linda and Olga, what kind of responses are we starting to see pop up from the team that we have on the phone?
No. Folks
No.
are saying no. Folks are answering your question with a no.
Okay, all right. The methodology behind this science was created by an individual by the name of Dr. John Worley, and he has created what is referenced as the Worley ID profile. And if this is of interest to you to learn more about, I will share with you a way to be able to access that shortly. So the call to action, again, we who are in the field of working with those that have been traumatized in some way, whether it be through human trafficking or domestic interpersonal violence, or going even through financial abuse, where folks have been taken advantage of as, you know, another layer of injury. We are seeing that it's 1 in 3 in women and 1 in 4 in men that experience some form of violence by a partner. And again, when we come back to the financial side of this, these are probably statistics that you know, but it takes an individual 7 attempts to actually get out of a violent partner situation. When there is money involved, the statistic goes up to 32 times, and it extends over a period of time of way more than 6 months. It can sometimes be 2 years, and that is what we have to stop. And then as our economy moves forward and the increased cost to us as a nation, we will be moving towards a $4 trillion mark. And so obviously there are huge economic benefits for us to make this change. And one of those that I've worked with in the past has been with synthetic ID fraud. Just as an example, this may be shocking to you, but let's just say you have, 4 million records in a database. It is not shocking for us to find 2 million of them to be synthetic ID fraud. Half is shocking, but because of technology that exists today, we have some very innovative individuals that are working in what we call the black hat world, and they have found a way to create those identities. And so by improving the statistics here and making the changes, obviously we can impact not only survivors, but those individuals that want to move from a survivor to a thriver to a creator. And so Connie Davis, who is the founder of Keros, she uses an example of those that have been through some type of trauma as beautiful living creatures at the bottom of the ocean, covered up in sand. But when they have an opportunity to be caught up in a storm, and that storm is not easy. That storm is harsh. That storm is inhumane. That storm is horrible. But that storm is what brings that sea creature from the bottom of the ocean to land on the side of a beach where we have individuals who not only see the beauty of a shell when they walk across it, they see a beauty of a shell that they can then use to remind them of a beautiful vacation. It can remind them of what a seashell might mean. And when you think about each one of us bringing value to the world, all we have to do is be seen on the seashore, and we can be turned into items that bring peace and harmony to individuals. It can bring beauty to an individual's home, and it can be a constant reminder that we are of value with each one of us and what we bring to the table, no matter where it is that we come from, because our temperament is what drives us, not our experiences, not our personality, not our characteristics. It's our temperament that's built inside of each one of us. And so I ask you to learn about the Ripple Revolution that Kara's and Project Triton are executing. And I invite you, as a part of signing up for the Ripple Revolution, for the first 5 individuals who do register, they will be able to take part in the WIDP assessment and do it on their own, as well as have an opportunity to visit with Dr. Worley and myself with these 5 individuals to learn more about your temperament and how you can use it individually or how you can use it in the practice that you might have or within the nonprofit that you might be working with. Linda, Olga, I so appreciate the chance to be a part of this webinar and be able to share the things that we are seeing in the financial services industry that we can change, and also being able to help individuals set the stage for them to heal their money wounds through the work that all of you do through the Center for Financial Social Work.
Well, thank you so much, Janine. Actually, if you want to, why don't you just leave that last slide up?
Okay.
Um,
Can everyone see that? There is a QR code. Feel free to access that as well. And
Great.
please, if you have any technology issues, call me. My phone number is right there on the screen, and you can also email me as well, and we'll make sure that we get everything through to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Janine. And you know, rather than, what I'd like to do next is get to questions, because we've got questions, we've got people who are curious, and let's get started with some questions. And if we have some time afterwards, we can walk through the additional resources from the Center for Financial Social Work. First, let's answer people's questions. Janine, think back to the beginning of your presentation. We have a question here. Can you explain the core banking system?
Sure. The core banking system is the brains behind how money moves, not only through a bank or a credit union, but how it moves through the federal government, which we refer to as the Federal Reserve. And the best way to think about all of the different places that a transaction occurs is when you use your credit card at a merchant. And so everything that happens once you swipe or tap your card, or if you're online, you enter in your credit card number, that merchant has to be able to communicate in some way to move your money from the account that you have to their account. And a core banking system is what is the final stage for not only you as a customer with all of your information, for identifying your account so that you don't get the account mixed up with anyone else's, but it's also the final stage that what we refer to settles with the Federal Reserve, and that is where the money is transacted. So the core banking system is the heart of that whole ecosystem.
Okay, thank you so much. Next question. How do you implement this temperament theory when most banking services are becoming more digital versus having a human experience with their customers?
That question is, obviously all questions are great. I love that question in particular, simply because when we think about temperament and how is it that we can improve the digital engagement with an individual, we have to be able to find a way to tailor those banking experiences through the lens of someone that has experienced something in their life. So their temperament, and when we're thinking through companies, the organizations that are creating this software, if they understand their own temperament and they understand their teams, as a team, they're going to be more productive. And as we continue to educate them and we create trauma-informed communities, we will have an opportunity to then create technology that could recognize temperament. I'm not going to say that it's going to happen overnight, but I do believe in a world that when I open a checking account, my temperament is something that could be a part of my record, my banking record, so that when I call the customer service group or when I engage with a chat bot, that information could be infused so that if I am someone who is what we refer to a melancholy, and a melancholy is a very positive word because they're very analytical, they're very diligent in making their decisions. I know as a banker, if I'm working with someone like that, then I'm going to have to be very specific with my numbers, and I'm going to have to take some time to be able to show a screen, and I may need some additional tools to be able to give my customer digitally to soak it in. And I use the word soak, meaning just sit with it a little bit, ask questions, and be able to have that kind of interaction, whether it be in a chat or whether it be on the phone. So my digital experience, I would actually love, if I am what's referenced as a sanguine, which I love interaction, and I need that interaction both for what I demonstrate, but what I desire, I want a phone number handy immediately, and I know somebody's going to pick it up on the other end. I hope that helps. Again, we're not there today, but that's how I could envision temperament working in the future.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Not trying to burst your bubble. So nice. Isn't this more work on the end of the financial institution to the customer?
Linda, I'm so sorry. I may have lost you. I think my internet connection is okay, but could I ask you to repeat the question?
Of course. It begins not trying to burst your bubble. Isn't this more work on the end of the financial institution to the customer?
Yes, it absolutely is. And that's where if we are able to shift the dynamic of institutions being solely driven by transactions and being driven by experiences, which I've spent a lot of time in the industry talking about how to create experiences, and there is the interest to do that. We just have to now do it through a trauma-informed lens. And so earlier, Linda had referenced, going from the industrial age to the digital age. We're in the age of experience, and there is more focus being placed on it, which is why I believe, and the team that I'm working with believe, that this is the time for us to take advantage of being able to educate the world on being trauma informed and creating change, making the change, making the decision to embrace the new technology and make the investments to do it.
Okay, very good. Along those lines, the next question is, can I bill for the WIDP temperament assessment?
Yes, you absolutely can. And it is a Class C third-party biller opportunity. And I can get more information on that if you need from Dr. Worley specifically, but he does have clinicians, practitioners, social workers that are all billing for this currently around the world.
Very good. Okay, next question. What is synthetic fraud?
I'm sorry, Linda, you faded out on me again. Can you ask it again?
Sure. I'll talk louder. What is synthetic fraud?
What is fintech fraud? Is that the question?
Well, the question is synthetic.
Oh, what is synthetic fraud?
Yeah.
Okay, synthetic fraud is when you have pieces and parts of data that is floating around in the internet, and individuals are cobbling that information together to create a new identity.
Oh, wow. Okay. And now we have a comment. One suggestion is to get rid of the automated conversation and bring back real people. And I did not know this. One financial institution that uses temperament is PNC.
Yes, correct. And yes, it would be a great suggestion. It would be a great action where I believe that we run into the financial, the business side of this comes back to exactly what we talked about, and the fact that currently our systems have been engineered to be transaction focused versus experience focused. However, I know that individuals may be afraid of artificial intelligence. This is an area where artificial intelligence can be used as a positive for business, because the smarter that we can, or the smarter we can make the AI engines, meaning through a trauma-informed lens, it will learn, and it can be more accommodating to different kinds of scenarios and situations, where it can be faster at identifying that this particular individual or this particular situation needs a human actually interacting. And quite frankly, me personally, I don't mind interacting with the chatbot, but let me tell you what, the first point that I didn't get my question answered, I don't want to go through 3 more chatbots before I go to an individual. At the first sign of me not getting serviced or the chatbot not understanding me, I would prefer it to drop out to an individual. So we have to plan and staff for that. So if we're looking at budgets and organizations making changes, if they're sitting there today, they recognize the issue, strategically they make that decision and they put it in their budgets for 2024, just so that you guys know, the soonest that we could likely see the change with that organization, whether it be a banking institution or other, is going to be this time next year. So these kinds of changes are very strategic, and they do take time for execution, but we will get there.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. And Dawn, thank you for telling me my mic is going in and out. I'm not so sure if it's my mic, but apparently my neighbor, this is one of the great advantages of working from home, apparently my neighbor is having some trees removed.
Oh no.
So I think that the noise from outside is I'm breaking up a bit, and I do apologize because that is annoying. And maybe, hopefully they'll be done shortly. Last question I'll be happy to answer, and that is, will we have access? Oh, we have another question. Will we have access to the recording? Absolutely, even if you missed the first 15 minutes. you will. Olga will get it on the website and the YouTube channel within a day or two. Next question. Will PNC be open to talking with other banks to share their experience with temperament?
I don't want to speak for PNC, but it certainly is worth asking. So if the individual who posed that question would like to follow up with me, I'd be more than happy to see what we can do to collaborate to get that done.
Awesome. As a social worker and working for a bank, I would love to give the idea or provide an example to my bank. So,
say that again, please.
So Yvonne, make sure you take Janine's email address and phone number so that Yvonne, you can get in touch with Janine. And Sandra is going to send you an email, and Yvonne is going to contact you. So that's all very good.
Yes, and for the recording, just to share it, my phone number is 512-560-3674, and my email address is Janine, Janine, .Casper, P as in Paul, ER, at karosdcc.com. That's spelled KAIROS, D as in David, C as in Charlie, C as in Charlie.com.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Janine. I'll be happy to wrap up unless I see another question come in. Janine, if you want to give me the controls again to this machine, the Google machine. I think we anticipated doing some more work to, oh, hold on. I really don't want to talk about anything other than answer your questions. So we do have another one, and that is, what is the purpose of the crypto coin?
Linda, I apologize. I am not able to understand you.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
Okay,
Let me try again. What is the purpose of the crypto coin?
What is the purpose of the crypto coin?
Yes.
Okay, the crypto coin is a way to be able to transact a item in the market that is worth some value to individuals. Excuse me. And so when you are looking at alternative currencies, it's the best way that I think about it personally is going back in time where folks were trading or bartering for something. So there was value in raisins, let's just say. So those raisins have a level of significance. And think about that crypto coin representing an item of value and what that would be valued by a group of individuals.
Okay. Thank you again. I'm going to quickly run barefoot through some additional resources from the Center for Financial Social Work. We have a client financial wellness magazine, the one-year program that engages clients with their money in your organization. It's a magazine. You can either choose to deliver it as a hard copy to clients who come to your office, or you can email it simply and directly. We also want to chat with you about the financial health and wellness professional community. I hope we have some members of the community on the call here. And if not, you don't have to be a social worker to join us. You can come from any walk of life. It is a professional community. We meet several times a month. Sometimes money chats. It's a safe and non-judgmental place to talk about money. We have a networking meeting every 2 months. We have group coaching, and that's near and dear to my heart. If you are experiencing a challenge, for example, with a client, by all means, bring it to the group coaching session and you can get input from staff and other colleagues about your particular challenge. That's the community. We also have a partner program where you can earn 10% if you refer someone to one of our products or resources. And the person who is purchasing will save 10% and you'll earn 10%. And we have the first ever Center for Financial Social Work directory. And that's in the process of being compiled right now. If you'd like to purchase a lifetime listing, you can do that either for yourself or your organization. We'd love to have you. Please bear in mind that you can register for our next 2 webinars on Thursday, November 9th. If you can believe it's already November, it's almost November 9th. We are talking about eschewing holiday overspending guilt and post-holiday remorse syndrome. And then on Thursday, December 14th at 2 Eastern, we're going to chat about financial trauma, coping, and healing. So sign up for them right now. As Rita typically closes with a few final thoughts, no one chooses to have money problems, but most people do. No one needs to know everything. No one needs to know everything about money, but everyone needs to know certain things about money. Please prepare your child for the real world and teach them about money, lest we continue to raise generation after generation of financially illiterate adults. And there is, as I'm sure you all know, a strong connection between money and mental health. When we talk about money, what are we really talking about? Power, survival, safety, and security. Rita would implore you never stop working to make peace and make friends with your money. There exists way too strong a relationship between finances and suicide. Debt should not and does not have to be a death sentence. Always choose life. Everyone has a relationship with their money and their self. Most need healing. And to help you do that, we have Pay What You Can program currently in place, where if you would like to pursue a certification for 20 CEUs, you may purchase that at the dollar amount that you feel comfortable purchasing it at. We've been to the supermarket. We know that things are expensive. So we are giving you the ability to pay what you can. Should you be able to pay $6.95, it gives you a free membership in our community. And last but not least, I'm going to close with one of our favorite quotes. Yesterday, I was so clever, I wanted to change the world. Today, I am so wise, so I am changing myself. Thank you all for your attention. Thank you all for staying so engaged with us. It's our pleasure to bring you this webinar, and we hope that you'll make further connections with Janine, and let's change the world and make it better. Thanks, everybody.